Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Untitled Reviews. Now in the past we've taken a look at some fantastic products from Roccat, most notably their Cane 200 AIMO mouse that I actually call one of the best mid-range mice that you could buy at the time, and I still remain, even in 2022, it's still a fantastic mouse, certainly with its rather suave design. And that also extends, by the looks of things, into their keyboards. This is the Roccat Pyro, priced at $89.99. It sits a rather decently slap bang in the middle of the modern mechanical gaming keyboard market, offering you pretty much every decent feature that you could want. Light switches, great design, additional multimedia controls, and some rather sumptuous lighting as well. Everything's all present and correct, which certainly on paper would make the Pyro seem like incredible value for money. But is it enough to power the Pyro to victory? Let's find out. So, on the front of design, what can you expect from the Roccat Pyro? Well, firstly, you'll notice that it shares a lot of the cues, in terms of design cues, of the Roccat Magma, which is Roccat's slightly more affordable membrane version of this particular lineup of keyboards. It's got this decent grooved plastic construction and some nice rounded corners that give it a classy yet simplistic look. Although, compared to the Magma, you are going to be getting something that is significantly sturdier. That's also reflected in the fact that this offers a really nice brushed metal top plate complete with a kind of sharp and minimalistic Roccat logos above the arrow keys and the nav cluster there. And to be honest, there's a nice little general heft to this which does make it feel like a properly put together product and ensures that there's naffle by way of deck flex here. The fact that there's a blend of hard wearing plastics and decent metals does mean that this feels pretty decent hard wearing, although from a personal standpoint some more metal may well have been nice, considering that this is maybe a 90 quid keyboard, but to be brutally honest it still looks rather decent indeed. The keycaps you're going to get are some double shot ABS plastic by the looks of things, feel decent under finger, and the fact they're double shot moulded is also nice because that has kind of a twofold purpose. One, it allows the Pyro's rather lovely backlighting to shine through, and secondly they just feel pretty well put together, although compared to some of the other competition's PBT plastic, they may feel a little bit cheap in some hands. You will notice that the Pyro offers a remarkably simple layout, just with a bog standard 104 key with the F keys and so on and so forth. You aren't getting any additional macro keys here, which isn't as big of a deal breaker as you may expect, just simply given that Roccat Swarm software more than makes up for that. But in the top right corner you'll be pleased to find there's some handy multimedia controls, including this rather twiddly and somewhat grooved plastic volume roller. Compared to other volume rollers and knobs on other keyboards, it feels relatively decent and isn't splinter-inducing like Logitech's, as you'll notice on the G915 Lightspeed. What you're also going to be getting with the Pyro is a decent wrist rest as well. This can aid with comfort and make this feel like more of a premium product than some of its competitors. It's easy to attach. There's two little clips on the underside of the Pyro, and you just push the wrist rest underneath it and away you go. It's that easy. There's no magnets or funny business or one that doesn't attach at all. It's just nice to find one, especially with that nice little kind of engraved Roccat logo on the bottom right hand corner. Compatibility with the Pyro shouldn't actually be an issue, given that it's completely wired and offers a standard USB-A connector on the end. It isn't braided though, which I suppose isn't a deal breaker for some, but it just would have kind of exuded more of a premium feel as such. But to be honest, the fact you're getting a bog standard USB-A connector is absolutely fine. You don't need anything else these days. Now, there's no point in having a keyboard that looks the part if it doesn't perform particularly well, especially on the front of gaming keyboards, and you'll be pleased to know that the Roccat Pyro delivers a marvellous all-round experience. Under finger, you're going to find some TTC red switches, which are kind of MX red clones, so you're going to be getting a 45 centinewton kind of actuation force with a bog standard linear key press that's ideal for gaming and offers some rather decent snappy performance. In terms of those MX clones that exist from the likes of Gateron and other manufacturers, these TTCs actually feel pretty robust and decent. Truth be told, whilst I've never been the biggest fan of red switches, you'll find me waxing lyrical about blues, browns and other tactile switches on other videos on this channel, but these TTC reds do actually feel rather good indeed. In my usual proving grounds of playing CSGO with bots, don't judge me please, the Pyro felt rather marvellous to use indeed. Outside of some decent light switches, there's all the decent usual trimmings that any formidable gaming keyboard should have these days, with anti-ghosting and N-key rollover present here. There's also a specific game mode that you can enable in the settings by kind of pressing the scroll key, I think, in the function key, and what that will do is lock the Windows keys, and I think turn off any notifications as well. So basically, once you're in your game and you've got game mode on, you won't be getting any interruptions, so you can properly focus. And also, Roccat has also been decent enough to include their Easy Shift function on the Pyro. And what that essentially does, like Razer's Hyper Shift, by pressing caps lock, you can essentially unlock another function layer on the WASD keys, which is pretty handy, and that can be enabled in Roccat Swarm software. And actually, we're going to be coming on to software and lighting in the next section, so stay tuned. So, on the front of lighting then, the Pyro also delivers the software integration with Roccat Swarm. You're going to see some screenshots of Swarm rolling around at the moment. Is fantastic for the price, and the actual lighting on offer, as you can see, looks rather good indeed. Now, if you go back and watch any of the other previous videos on this channel where I've looked at Razer's keyboards, for instance the Huntsman V2 Analog that I waxed lyrical about a while ago, I'd always claim that Razer were the kings of keyboard cool, the kings of keyboard customization, and offered some of the best lighting in the business, actually the best lighting in the business. But the Roccat Pyro for the price may just make me rethink that decision. Now, the keyboard looks great anyway, but adding some decent and kind of understated RGB lighting just looks absolutely fantastic. And even with this being an open-housed board, there's no light seepage at all, and everything looks rather decent indeed, with some decent brightness to go with it. As I say on the screen, whilst I'm chatting here, you're going to see some of Roccat's marvellous Swarm software rolling around, which I'd probably argue is some of the best software in the business. Compared to the likes of Razer Synapse, for instance, it doesn't feel all too bloated. You just get what you need, and everything's laid out in a rather intuitive manner. So, and really, if you're going to be using the Pyro, then getting Roccat Swarm is actually a must-have. Sometimes companies will bundle software with their products, and it doesn't really do all too much. But with the Pyro and the Swarm, then you're going to be getting something that definitely is worth your while. There's all sorts of ways of customizing the keyboard, and as I say, enabling things like game mode and changing the polling rate and fiddling with RGB until your heart's content. So really, you should be able to find kind of something to sort out with your keyboard with it. So, in conclusion then, should you buy Roccat's Pyro? Well, if you're somebody that's fundamentally just looking for a decent all-round gaming keyboard, then you're going to be in luck here. Everything here is absolutely fantastic, from the switches to the lighting to the construction. And also on that point, if you're somebody who's looking for decent light MX clones that will serve you well for gaming, then these TTC Reds are definitely the way to go if you can't get the real things. And also, if you're somebody who wants oodles of customization and some rather sharp lighting to go with it, then the Pyro definitely is the way to go. At a price of $89.99, it's one of the slightly more affordable gaming keyboards out there compared to some of the ludicrously expensive offerings from Razer and Asus keyboards that will clock in at over 200 quid these days. Compared to those, the Pyro feels like a positive bargain, and for your money, you're getting a fantastic all-rounder, and it's definitely one of the best gaming keyboards of last year, and certainly already seems to be one of the best options for this year as well. So definitely keep an eye out for some of Roccat's other offerings, and also the Pyro, which we definitely say that you should pick up if you so want to. Now, on that note, all that I've really got left to say is that if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to, of course, like, share, and indeed subscribe to the channel, and of course to ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. We've got some rather exciting bits of kit, some more enthusiast-driven keyboards coming up, so you don't want to miss those, so make sure to subscribe down below, and to follow us on Twitter and indeed Instagram, of course. There should be links appearing on the screen for those right about now. And also, if you want to rep the Untitled brand, as it were, there's going to be a link to the Untitled merch store that's hosted on Spring down in the description, that's been up for around a year or so now, where you can pick up all manner of t-shirts, hoodies, wall art, zip-up hoodies, sweatshirts, pint glasses, and everything in between. And Spring ship worldwide, and the quality of their stuff is absolutely fantastic. So there'll be a link down in the description to that as well, if you're interested. And of course, if you like any of the kit that we feature in these videos, be it this marvellous Roccat Pyro keyboard, or any of the other kind of oodles of keyboards, mice, multimedia controllers, headsets, laptops, and all sorts in between that we've featured on this channel over the last couple of years or so, then there'll be Amazon links down in the description of the respective videos where you can pick all that stuff up. So once again, thank you very much for watching.